This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Pain at the pump. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. Gas prices have risen 90 cents a gallon since the war in Iran started last month. NBC business analyst Brian Chung gets us started.
We're continuing that march for prices at the pump to $4 a gallon, where analysts tell us we are likely to go before the end of this week. It's staggering to think that that's up over 90 cents from what it was prior to this conflict in Iran.
In 4 states, Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, and Alaska, the price at the pump is already more than $4 a gallon. There are 3 states where the average price is above $5 a gallon: California, Hawaii, and Washington. Who's in charge in Iran anyway? That's the big question on day 19 of the war. Retired 4-star Army general and Fox News military analyst Jack Keane.
Khamenei is the figurehead right now. Certainly he is the Ayatollah, but listen, he has been seriously wounded on day one, and he has been recovering from those injuries. I'm making the assumption he is still alive, but not in a position to run that country day in and day out.
Yesterday, the Israeli Air Force took out 2 senior Iranian leaders, and overnight they assassinated the country's top intelligence official. Fox's Jonathan Savage.
Esmail al-Khatib was killed overnight in a precision strike. Khatib oversaw Iran's global intelligence apparatus, including alleged sleeper cells located around the world.
That makes 3 senior Iranian officials eliminated in just the past 2 days. Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton.
We are systematically, methodically, and deliberately dismantling Iran's military. We've pummeled its army. We've sank its navy. Now, it's going to take some time. It's a big country with a large military, but the end state is going to be Iran is defanged and neutered and can no longer threaten Americans. But for Democrats to criticize it just 2 weeks in as some kind of quagmire to say that we've already failed is akin to criticizing Eisenhower 2 weeks after D-Day for not already being in Berlin.
The U.S. military dropped a pair of 5,000-pound bunker-busting bombs last night on Iranian missile sites near the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM says those sites pose a risk to shipping in the critical waterway. Traffic through the strait's fallen by 95% since the start of the war. President Trump is blasting NATO for not doing more to help protect that shipping channel. National security analyst Alex Gray.
If NATO's not going to be there for us when we need them, if the most powerful military that keeps NATO relevant at all can't count on the alliance members to be there for us when we're doing an operation that actually serves their interests, the alliance has no future.
Elsewhere on the war front, an elderly Israeli couple was killed in Tel Aviv today when an Iranian cluster bomb hit their apartment. Another struck a train station in Israel's second largest city. Smaller airports in this country could start shutting down soon if the partial government shutdown doesn't end soon. TSA workers are calling in sick because they're not getting paid amid the fiscal impasse. The shortage of workers has led to long lines for passengers at the airports. Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin, the man tapped to replace Kristi Noem as head of Homeland Security, is sitting for his confirmation hearing today. NBC's Peter Alexander.
Republicans really view this hearing as a chance to hammer home the need to fund DHS with a partial government shutdown now in its 5th week. Democrats, on the other hand, want to know what changes Mullin is willing to make in the administration's immigration crackdown.
Mullin only needs a simple majority for confirmation. America's top intelligence officials are testifying before Congress today about threats to the homeland. The director of National Intelligence and the heads of the FBI and CIA discussing foreign threats, cyber attacks, and sleeper cells that may already be operating inside this country. Debates underway in the U.S. Senate on the Save America Act. It requires proof of citizenship citizenship to register to vote, photo ID when casting a ballot, and more oversight of state voter rolls. California Democrat Adam Schiff says the Save America Act disenfranchises voters.
By doing away with your right to vote, that's the Save America Act for you. It should be called the Save Our Political Hides Act, because that's exactly what it is.
Texas Republican Ted Cruz.
What the Save America Act says is just two things. Number one, you should have to demonstrate you're an American citizen to register to vote. And number two, you should have to show a photo ID to actually vote. The overwhelming majority of Americans agree with that.
The Senate needs 60 votes for passage. Not sure if they can get it. Republicans still want Democrats on the record for what they consider to be an 80-20 issue, meaning that 80% of Americans support some type of voter ID. A Christian couple in Sweden has lost custody of their daughters following a false abuse claim. Listen to this. Swedish authorities labeling the Samson family religious extremists for their frequent church attendance. The parents have spent the past 6 years trying to get their kids back. The case began after the eldest daughter made a false abuse report at school following a fight with her parents. The girl quickly retracted her story, and prosecutors found no evidence of abuse. But still, Swedish officials are refusing to return those children to their mom and dad. Here's to your health. Experts say the up and down temperatures of late can make you sick. Correspondent Bree Tennis.
The Mayo Clinic says fluctuating weather can increase the likelihood of you getting sick. The change does not directly cause illness. You need a virus or bacteria for that. But the shift in dry air and changing humidity can cause your immune system to stress out, which creates a better environment for cooties from the flu, colds, and COVID. Experts say stay hydrated, eat a healthy diet, and wash your hands. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, hand washing, very important. Thank you, Bree. Still to come on the Noon Report, a midweek edition. Football revolt in central New York, laid to rest in Pennsylvania, and the All-Electric Buildings Act.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. More moderate weather conditions are ahead these next couple of days. I'll be back with forecast details coming up. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
All right, see you then. Thank you, Kevin. Let's check the stories making news where you live. All across New York and Pennsylvania, Interstate 81 back in business following a multi-vehicle pileup yesterday in the southbound lanes in Oswego County. What a mess there. Police say the crash was caused by whiteout conditions. Robbie Crone with the Watertown Fire Department.
The weather obviously factored into the initial cause of the pileup. Whether or not that was blowing snow or snow on the road, I'm not quite sure of that, but either way, I mean, the wind was ripping pretty good and it was cold out there.
Yeah, sure was. Coldest St. Patrick's Day we've had in 25 years, in fact. Motorists report not even being able to see the cars in front of them. Dozens of vehicles involved. Thankfully, no fatalities. The funeral service for a fallen Pennsylvania state trooper is happening right now in suburban Philadelphia. 40-year-old Corporal Timothy O'Connor was killed during a traffic stop in Chester County. The cop killer then took his own life. O'Connor leaves behind a wife and young daughter. A new report shows what many New Yorkers already know. The state's aging power grid is not keeping up with demand. This is due primarily to the prevalence of energy-draining AI data centers and the push to electrify homes and cars in New York. Southern Tier Assemblyman Phil Palmisano.
We need reliable baseload generation, and natural gas needs to be a part of that mix.
Palmisano's fighting against the All-Electric Buildings Act, which bans gas hookups in new buildings under 7 stories tall. Governor Hochul has agreed to delay implementation of that law. Palmisano says if enacted, that law will drive up already sky-high home prices.
The New York State Builders Association did a study and said this could increase the cost of construction for new home ownership by up to $25,000.
The Corning Republican tells Spectrum News.
When you talk to businesses, they care about 2 things when it comes to energy policy: affordability and reliability. If they can't get affordable and reliable energy in New York, they will go elsewhere. as they already are.
The All-Electric Buildings Act only applies to new constructions, not existing homes. Well, did you see it? That meteor streaking across the sky in western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio Tuesday morning. What a sight that was. The National Weather Service captured video of the bright ball of fire hurtling through the air at about 45,000 miles an hour. It was caused by a 6-foot-long, 7-ton asteroid that thankfully broke apart before it reached us. Meteors, by the way, are not uncommon. NASA estimates about 48.5 tons of space rock falls to Earth on a daily basis. Syracuse, New York celebrated its Irish ancestry in a unique way yesterday, St. Patrick's Day. It boasts the only traffic light in the country, the only one where the green light sits atop the red light. Back in the 1920s, a group of Irish immigrants called the Stone Throwers kept breaking the red light because they refused to have the British color red above the Irish color green, and yesterday a commemorative plaque was installed in their honor in Syracuse.
Some may say that these young men were vandals, yet it was their undying advocacy and loyalty to their Irish heritage that led city leaders to make a permanent change to the only traffic light in our country where the green remains on top of the red.
The hooligans turned heroes in the Salt City. That traffic light, by the way, in case you're wanting to see it for yourself, is located at the corner of Tompkins Street and Milton Avenue on Tipperary Hill in Syracuse. 5 schools in the Syracuse area have made the unprecedented move of refusing to play Christian Brothers Academy. They're a 5-time New York State high school football champ. CBA's won 3 straight state titles and is riding a 30-game win streak. They're not just winning, they're annihilating the competition. Critics say it's because Christian Brothers is a private school and can recruit students from other districts. Consequently, Cicero, North Syracuse, Liverpool, Fayetteville, Manlius, Utica, Proctor, and Rome Free Academy have all taken Christian Brothers off their schedule next season. Businesses in Buffalo are bracing for some college basketball. The men's NCAA tournament tips off tomorrow. Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
An opportunity like this is rare, even for Buffalo. Businesses are opening early and closing late. Buffalo Ironworks spoke with WGRZ.
Both days we open at 10 a.m., so 10 a.m. on Thursday, 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Some restaurants are serving meals at one location together to highlight the best of Buffalo food.
It really shows for all the people coming in out of town how special Buffalo is.
March Madness in full force in the Queen City. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you, Sarah. There are 6 games on tap this Thursday and Saturday at the KeyBank Center in Buffalo. We've got more sports next. It's the 2-minute drill right here on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, it was good to be named Josh last night. Josh Doan and Josh Norris both lit the lamp for the Buffalo Sabres, and they knocked off the Vegas Golden Knights 2-0. It's their 10th win in 11 games, and hey, let's give credit to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. He stopped all 27 shots fired at him to record his first shutout of the season. The Sabres have been the winningest team in the NHL since December 9th, going 31-6-2. They sit atop the Atlantic Division standings now by 4 points ahead of Tampa Bay. Elsewhere on the ice, your winners, the Islanders 3-1 over the Maple Leafs, Canadiens, Blue Jackets, Wild, Predators, Oilers, Canucks, and Lightning. Well, I mentioned it's good to be named Josh. Josh Hart led the way for the New York Knicks. He was on fire last night. 12 of 13 from the field, including 5 of 5 from three-point land. He finished with 33 points. OG Anunoby had 26. Karl Anthony Towns added 22. New York blew out Indiana 136-110. The Sixers, Hornets, Thunder, Pistons, Cavs, T-Wolves, and Spurs, your other winners. March Madness began with a pair of first 4 games last night, and there were 2 nail-biters. Howard knocked off UMBC 86-83, and Texas squeaked past North Carolina State 68-66. Two more games are tonight. And at the World Baseball Classic, the United States could not do anything with Venezuela's pitching until Bryce Harper hit a tying two-run shot in the bottom of the eighth. But Venezuela got an RBI double from Eugenio Suarez in the ninth, and they won it 3-2. That is a look at sports.
All right, thank you, Randy. And still to come on the Noon Report, bunker buster bombs rain down on Iran. Gas prices continue to climb, almost $4 a gallon now. And communist Cuba on the brink of collapse.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. In 2026, millions of Americans will visit the nation's capital, many of them to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. In its memorials and museums, Washington, D.C. speaks to the grand and noble purpose of America and of the founding generation. And there's also much to be found in its architecture. Several years ago, the Museum of the Bible opened a first-of-its-kind virtual flying tour that was called Washington Revelations. The experience took visitors through D.C., highlighting the biblical and Christian references to be found on various monuments and buildings. The sheer amount of those references, which was just a small percentage of all that exists, was, to say the least, impressive. For example, the Declaration of Independence, a signed copy of which can be viewed at the National Archives, contains 4 references to God. Each one corresponds to one of the powers of government. God is recognized as lawmaker, the laws of nature and nature's God. He's also like a founder. Humans are endowed by their creator. God is judge, the supreme judge of the world, and also the executive, the divine providence. The implication here is clear that if the powers of government remain aligned with God's will, the people will be saved. Now, of course, that's impossible in a fallen world where human hearts are also bent towards sin. Man is not God, or as the Federalist Papers put it, men are not angels. The awareness of human frailty reverberates throughout the American founding. For example, at the Jefferson Memorial, visitors encounter these words, quote, "God who gave us life gave us liberty. Can the liberties of a nation be secure when we have removed a conviction that these liberties are a gift of God? Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, and that his justice cannot sleep forever. Commerce between master and slave is despotism. Nothing's more certainly written in the book of fate than these people are to be free," end quote. Inscribed on the Lincoln Memorial is the Gettysburg Address, where Lincoln stated, "We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom." And it was at that site, nearly 100 years later, that Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his I Have a Dream speech, which called for the nation to fulfill the promise of the founding and to ensure freedom and equality for all. The U.S. Capitol was filled with religious symbolism and language, most notably in the House chamber, where the face of Moses, the greatest of all human lawgivers, looks down over the proceedings. Moses also appears elsewhere throughout the city, including on the east pediment of the U.S. Supreme Court building. In a sculpture that's titled Justice, the Guardian of Liberty, Moses stands at the center holding the Ten Commandments, flanked by Solon and Confucius. The Library of Congress holds over 181 million items, but there's only 2 that are on permanent display in the Great Hall. The Giant Bible of Mainz, a handwritten and illustrated Bible, and the Gutenberg Bible, the first mass-printed Bible, hold this place of honor. Now, those are just a few among thousands and thousands of examples of the biblical and Christian references that can be found throughout our nation's capital. They point to the tremendous influence that Christianity and the Bible had on the founding of the country. This year, as America celebrates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and all the freedoms that Americans enjoy, it's essential that we also reflect on the role that the Bible and Christianity played in shaping and informing the development of those freedoms. The vivid evidence of such can be found on the walls, the monuments, the documents, and the statues throughout our nation's capital. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you for that. Let's head outside next. Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life forecast for this afternoon. Still a couple of flurries east of Lake Ontario. They'll be fading. Otherwise, we'll have intervals of clouds and sunshine. Still a chill, but not as harsh, not as blustery as it has been, with high temperatures into the 30s. Clouds will build back tonight. There'll be a touch of light snow or flurries late tonight and tomorrow morning in parts of the area, but nothing much in terms of accumulation. Low to high 20s. And then later tomorrow, it's rather cloudy with high temps into the 40s. On Friday, it's cloudy with afternoon showers, moderate temperatures with highs in the 40s to near 50.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. This is the Noon Report. I'm your host, Bob Price. Great to have you with us today. Wednesday, the 18th of March, will begin at the gas pump. Prices rose another 4 cents a gallon overnight to a new national average of $3.84 in 4 states right now. Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, and Alaska. The price at the pump is above $4 a gallon. There are 3 states where the average price is above $5 a gallon. California, Hawaii, and Washington. It's $3.68 on average in New York, $3.80 in Pennsylvania. Israel's on offense in Iran. The Jewish state has just assassinated another Iranian leader, the country's top intelligence officer. Trey Yingst with Fox News.
Ismail Khatib, the intelligence minister of Iran, was targeted in a precision strike overnight. Khatib was responsible for supporting Iran's global network of infiltrators, of sleeper cells, to threaten countries like the United States and others around the world.
Former Navy SEAL Cameron Hamilton says being in charge in Iran is a job nobody should take right now.
The Iranians are going through quite a bit of their backup hitters, so to speak. I think the president's making it very clear. This is what you do when you claim that you have an existential right to pursue nuclear weaponry. The president claimed, well, we have the existential right to pursue actions against you, and this is exactly what it means.
Overnight, the Iranian regime detonated a cluster bomb in the skies over Tel Aviv in retaliation for those recent assassinations. The U.S. Air Force, meantime, dropped a pair of 5,000-pound bunker-busting bombs on Iranian missile sites near the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump says he is disappointed that NATO states are not doing more to help secure that strategic waterway.
I've long said that, I wonder whether or not NATO would ever be there for us. So this was a great test because we don't need them, but they should have been there.
The president notes the U.S. provided hundreds of billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine, whereas NATO allies have not even provided a single minesweeper for the conflict in Iran. America's top intel officials testifying today on Capitol Hill about threats to the homeland, both abroad and domestically. They include the director of national intelligence and the heads of the FBI and CIA. Meantime, Oklahoma Senator and former mixed martial artist Mark Wayne Mullen is sitting for his confirmation today. He's been tapped by the Trump administration to lead the Department of Homeland Security. Debates underway in the U.S. Senate on the Save America Act. It requires voter ID to take part in elections and limits the use of mail-in ballots. Virginia Democrat Mark Warner.
This effectively cuts online mail-in voter registration process, creating, I think, an unnecessary burden for all voters.
The Save America Act also includes amendments that prohibit sex change operations on kids and bans biological boys from girls' sports. Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt.
If the law cannot defend women from men acting as women, it cannot defend reality.
The Senate needs 60 votes for passage. Not sure it will get there. Republicans still want Democrats on the record for what they consider to be an 80-20 issue, meaning 80% of Americans support voter ID and greater protections for girls' sports. Medical marijuana may not be effective in treating anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress disorder. A new study in The Lancet concludes the therapeutic ingredient in pot is not effective at providing relief from mental health conditions. Medical marijuana may, however, prove useful for those with autism and insomnia. The White House is weighing in on the future of communist Cuba as the island nation reels from an historic energy crisis. Cuba's main oil supply, Venezuela, has been shut off. Correspondent George Solis reports from Havana.
No better proof of how fragile this power grid is. Portions of Havana waking up without power this morning. This after the country just got power back yesterday. And it all comes as we got a rare look inside a Cuban hospital yesterday where we spoke with doctors and patients who not only struggle to get there, but also struggle to find treatment. It's an added stress when already dealing with life and death situations, and U.S. officials continue to push for change here.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, whose parents immigrated to this country from Cuba, says the country's economy does not work and the country's leaders cannot fix it. There's a new World Baseball Classic champ, and it's Venezuela. They beat Team USA in the finale last night in Miami.
Venezuela struck first with a Michael Garcia sac fly and a solo home run by Wilyer Abreu to give them a 2-0 lead. But in the bottom of the 8th inning, Bryce Harper tied the game with one swing, keeping the Americans in it with a 2-run shot. But the top of the 9th saw Venezuela retake the lead thanks to Eugenio Suarez.
Into left center field, headed for the gap, and Venezuela has retaken the lead. Eugenio Suarez just like that.
The call on Fox, Venezuela wins it 3-2 to capture their first ever WBC title. Michael Garcia was named MVP.
Tony Geniolto with Fox Sports. You're listening to the Noon Report, a midweek edition on Family Life.
What about the kids this summer? Welcome back to another edition of Real Answers, a regular Wednesday feature. During the Family Life Noon Report, we discuss the issues that matter to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Welcome back, Chris.
Always good to be here, Mark.
Always great to have you. Well, with winter weather's return this week, feels a little weird, but also nice to turn our thoughts to summer for at least a few minutes, and specifically having a good game plan for our kids this summer, because even though school takes the summer off, learning really shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't, and maybe by talking about this now with the weather the way it is outside, maybe we'll somehow encourage that nice warm weather to come back.
Can only hope, man. I guess one big key here of many is making sure that summer is, more about sunscreen than electronic screens.
That's a good way to put it. Yes, sunscreen is a very good screen to engage your children in. So we're talking about this topic, and I kind of hesitated at first since it is pretty early here and technically not even spring yet. But the reality is this is now the time to start thinking about, well, what can you do with your children and help keep them involved mentally in their day, not just blindly and mindlessly staring at a screen.
Yeah, with all the things that our kids face these days, I think back to, when we're kids, a lot of parents would just kind of seed the summer. School's out, okay, go out, play. There wasn't really planning into what the kids were going to be doing that summer. But these days, I think you really have to be intentional.
Absolutely. And of course, back when we were growing up, Mark, we didn't have excessive screen times. We did have a television, and if you had the 13 channels of cable TV back then, you could still spend too much time in front of it. But nowadays, with social media, it's more important than ever now to be very vigilant about that.
All right, well, let's dive in a little deeper. You mentioned a couple of key points here that parents probably would be wise to keep in mind as they look ahead to summer. What are some of those?
Well, the first thing is to have your children on a schedule. I think it's a fantastic idea as parents to have some sort of a daily devotional time with your children in the mornings, but then also take the time to plan out at some point during the day, when would it be a good time for your children to engage in some sort of a learning activity? There are lots of activities that are self-directed. In other words, like here at our house, my family, we call them the yellow box activities, and there are several shoebox-sized hard plastic containers with a yellow lid on them, and inside each container there's a different activity, and we can tell our boys it's time to go grab a yellow box, go ahead and choose a yellow box and engage in that activity, and that gives the parents time, if needed, to do other things around the house. For me, it's cleaning up the kitchen a lot of times, or cleaning up after the kids. Yeah, they're not plopped in front of the TV. They're still engaging in an activity that they can be stimulating themselves mentally, and whether that's a hands-on skill such as a puzzle or coloring books or doing some other kind of an art project, or it can be something else like playing a game. I mean, we've got this really cool magnet game that they have to play, but they can do it independently. So those are some things that you can be thinking about now. Like, do you have some of these activities that you can then engage your children in the summertime? And again, that allows them to stay stimulated and also allows you to turn off the screen at the same time.
Right. And I guess certainly at summertime, you got to grab it while you can around here. So outdoor activities certainly got to figure prominently into there as well.
Oh, absolutely. There might be some outdoor activities that they can engage in. Now, of course, everybody has different environments around their house with varying degrees of activities available to them. I live out in the country, so we've got creeks and streams and a pond and all sorts of outdoors nature type activities that, depending on the age of your children, they might be able to engage in some of those things without direct supervision. But definitely get them outside, get them running around as much as you can. Something else anybody can really do is consult with your children's teachers and find out if they have any recommendations applications for workbooks or anything else that the children can do to maintain what they've learned in preparation for the next upcoming year. You're going to get some pushback from your children, but if you get them into a routine on a schedule, something that's very consistent, that will kind of help prime them. They'll know that it's coming and help keep them from being too disagreeable, if you will. So that schedule, planning out their day so that the children know, okay, we're going to have devotions after breakfast. And then you're going to engage in a yellow box activity or a workbook activity for a period of time. And then you'll go outside. That consistency is really key and it's really beneficial for children. Then they know what to anticipate and they're not surprised. And you'll be amazed at how once they get into that routine, it's a lot easier to encourage them to do that.
Yeah, and it will pay dividends if we project one season further to fall when they head back to school. It won't be an utter shock to the system to actually maintain some of that learning and discipline.
They will, and it won't be as difficult of a transition back. Again, right now, even though it's still early in the season, it's not too early to start looking for some of those activities. Once again, utilize your teachers in the schools for any kind of ideas as well that they might have, and I got a feeling they're going to thank you for it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. You've been listening to Real Answers, a Wednesday feature of the Family Life Noon Report, where we discuss the issues important to families with licensed mental health counselor Christopher Anderson. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you so much, Mark.
All right, great show, guys. You can listen to all our Real Answers podcasts, by the way, online anytime. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or our website, familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. A storm system that brought the recent wind, rain, thunder, and snow is now long gone in far eastern and northern Canada, and more temperate conditions are ahead. Our call for this afternoon, still a couple of flurries east of Lake Ontario. They'll be fading. Otherwise, for the day today, we'll have intervals of clouds and sunshine. Still a chill, but not as harsh, not as blustery as it has been, with high temperatures into the 30s. Clouds will build back tonight. There'll be a touch of light snow or flurries late tonight and tomorrow morning in parts of the area, but nothing much in terms of accumulation. Low tonight, 20s. And then later tomorrow, it's rather cloudy with high temps into the 40s. On Friday, it's cloudy with afternoon showers, moderate temperatures with highs in the 40s to near 50.
Okie doke. Thank you, Kevin. Finally, noon. Today's a day to celebrate a delicious and messy school cafeteria classic. Family Life's Brian Query.
Adam Sandler sang that line over 2 decades ago about a sandwich that's been around for nearly 100 years, the Sloppy Joe. This dish of ground beef, onions, and sweetened tomato sauce has its very own holiday, which we celebrate today as its National Sloppy Joe Day. There are several claims about how the sandwich came to be, whether it came from the loose meat sandwich from Sioux City, Iowa, or a creation at Sloppy Joe's in Havana, Cuba. Popularity of the sandwich skyrocketed after Hunt's introduced the Manwich Sloppy Joe sauce in 1969. Whether you eat it on a bun right from the plate or mixed with something else, there's no denying the Sloppy Joe will continue to be an enduring piece of American food history. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. And just like that, folks, we're out of time. That's our world, the world we live in. Wednesday, the 18th day of March. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.